Ladies and gentlemen, in just a moment, we're going to begin the funeral services of Mrs. Claire Chanenson. Rabbi Nancy Landsman from Congregation Ahavat Olam will be officiating. And for those of you who are streaming, I guess you're all here now, so we're going to begin. And please take a moment to be sure here that if you have a cell phone, please turn it off. At this time, the rabbi is going to lead the family here and also Stephen, where you are, with the ceremony of Kriya. Cindy, I ask you to please rise.
So you can just stay right by your, perfect. Our hearts go out to everyone as we say goodbye to Claire, and we know it's very hard, Steve, with you being far away, but we're with you, and we hope that in time everyone's hearts will heal. In a moment, I'm going to ask both Cindy and Steve to make a tear in the ribbon, although I guess, David, you'll assist in making the tear. We have some Hebrew words that we say before making this tear. You'll notice that the ribbon that you're wearing, Cindy, is on the left side over the heart. And only children wear the ribbon over the heart or make the tear of their clothing on the left side, because there is no bond as unique and special as that between a parent and a child. We know everyone's hearts are torn as we say goodbye to your mother. So I'd like Stephen remotely and Cindy to please repeat after me these Hebrew words for Kriya. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Dayan HaEmet. These words mean, praised are you, eternal our God, ruler of the universe, judge of truth. For we know it was God's eternal judgment that your mother be taken to her final resting place. You may be seated. You can choose to wear this ribbon today, or this first week of mourning, or the period of Shloshim, 30 days from today. You can choose to wear it on the outside or the inside. If you wear it on the outside as you go out, if you're going out, to hopefully people will understand that this torn ribbon means that you are in a period of mourning. So David made a tear, and you can tear it even further as far as you'd like. I'm truly honored to be officiating the service for Claire. I did not have the privilege, and it would have been a privilege to have known her. I'm so grateful to her family taking the time to share memories of her and to paint a picture of her life story. So you've all been blessed to have had Claire in your life, to have known her. And today, as sad as we are to say goodbye to Claire, we are also here to celebrate her life. Psalm 121. I will lift up mine eyes unto the mountains. From whence shall my help come? My help cometh from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel doth neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall keep thee from all evil. he shall keep thy soul. The Lord shall guard thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and forever. A life well lived is a precious gift of hope and strength and grace from someone who has made our world a brighter, better place. It's filled with moments, sweet and sad, with smiles and sometimes tears, with friendships formed and good times shared, and laughter through the years. A life well lived is a legacy of joy and pride and pleasure, a living, lasting memory our grateful hearts will treasure. In learning about Claire, I felt that this next poem, perhaps familiar to you by Ralph Waldo Emerson, was quite fitting. What is success? To laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition. To know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded. Claire succeeded big time, and you all know that so well. At times such as this, we find comfort when we turn to the book of Psalms. I began the service with Psalm 121, a psalm that I think speaks to all of us is one you find in your service folders, and those who are joining us on the live stream, perhaps you also know the 23rd Psalm. So I'd like all of us, wherever you are, to join with me in reciting the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Claire was blessed with a lot of love in her life, and she adored her family. We're thinking of all of you who couldn't physically be here today, especially Steve and Ellie, and we're mindful of those who are here through God's gift of memory. And so I share with you this beautiful poem whose author is unknown that speaks about this great gift of love from our family. It's entitled The Greatest Gift. One of the greatest gifts that life can give to anyone is the very special love that families share. As years go by, it's good to know that there will always be certain people in our lives who care. For there are countless things that only families have in common. and memories that no one else can make. And these precious ties that bind a family together are bonds that time and distance cannot break. How fortunate we are when we have relatives to love us. It makes the world a happy place to be. Few gifts in life will last as long or touch the heart as deeply as the very special gift of family. So this is a perfect time to invite Claire's family to participate in this service. And to start, we have Steve, who will be participating through the wonders of technology. So I understand it takes a moment for that to happen, but we're going to find him miraculously appear. From Philadelphia.
My mother was a teacher. At first, it was her profession, but it ultimately was her life's work. She taught in the elementary grades in the Chicago Public School District. She loved those kids, and they loved her, some finding her years later to thank her for her inspiration and guidance that she provided. She always felt that it was her responsibility that a student learn. And if they did not do well on a test, she was the one who needed to do better, to review, to support, to encourage. After my sister was born, my mother kept teaching in Chicago. Fast forward to my birth, and it was a different story. By most accounts, I was a challenging youngster. Now, my recollection is that I was an angelic child, but this is neither the time nor the place for that discussion. When the Chicago Public Schools would not grant my mother additional leave to deal with her high-spirited son, she reluctantly resigned. That was a shame. Untold numbers of youngsters missed out on the opportunity to be guided by her, but I didn't. My mother took her teacher's perspective with her through the balance of her life. For a time, she was the librarian in our synagogue, helping students find joy in books. Even there, she was really an undercover teacher, as are most librarians. As she helped me with my schoolwork and with life, she never scolded, she never harangued. Usually she would ask questions and nudge me along to find and defend my own answers, even when they didn't always agree with hers. Sounds a lot like a law professor to me. She liked to learn new things, and especially liked it when her children and grandchildren explored new things. Always the teacher, always expanding horizons. When I was young, she thought I might like jazz music. She was right. So she bought me some records to listen to and later took me to hear people like the great Sarah Vaughan sing in person. Who knew that parents were even allowed in those cool used record stores? Or that she, dragging my good-natured but not that interested father along, had seen Sassy perform in her prime. She also sparked my passion for musicals, and we were fortunate enough to see many of them together. If we were interested in it, she was interested in it. That's how my non-sports loving mother ended up shouting at the TV with me, and sometimes even when I wasn't home, as the Cubs would valiantly and often unsuccessfully try to rally in the ninth inning at Wrigley. That same interest in her children is why she would claim to read my dry law review articles, even though I knew that they put her and most normal people promptly to sleep. She similarly embraced what interested my boys. Thus, as she aged, she learned more about their friends, even asking about them long after those young friend groups had changed. Football, the Bears, of course, and musical theater. She was always good at telling stories. Like an accomplished improv actor, she could start with just a theme and a character's name. I distinctly remember a long and intricate tale that revolved around a dragon they named Truckee. She would entertain them for hours. During the year we lived in China, she would gleefully read them books over the internet. As dementia slowly and cruelly took its toll, she would repeat certain stories and questions regularly. Usually in the stories, my father or sister or I were doing something heroic that bore little resemblance to my recollection of actual events. One question she would ask me almost every time we talked over the past few years stands out in my mind. She would ask whether I was happy being a teacher. When I truthfully That's your fault. When I truthfully told her that I was, she was elated. She never failed to recall how much she had enjoyed teaching and how often she would think of her former students. It would remind me of the quote by Henry Adams, modified for gender: "A teacher affects eternity. She can never tell where her influence stops." My mother's influence continues on in me and through me and my students. I can only hope to live up to her example as a parent and a teacher. Thank you all for coming.
So beautiful. And now it's my honor to call upon Cindy to offer some of her memories. I will probably always say, my mom is the nicest person I've ever known. And so many of the responses to my email invitation to this Zoom funeral we're on hold. Okay. So many of the responses to my email invitation to this Zoom funeral confirm my assessment. She believed that Tuesdays are Mazeldik, lucky. So I am happy that we are together on a Tuesday. My mom's parents each lived to be 99 and a half. Frankly, we were convinced that she would as well. But a serious fall at the end of April left her with a severely broken femur, followed by 2 serious surgeries. She survived all that, but I think the social isolation of COVID, not actually the virus itself, took its toll. She lived her life by the golden rule, and she knew how to make everything fun. She taught me the importance of respect for others. She made friends and she kept them. Age was never a factor. When I was in high school, some of my friends often stopped by just to see her and get her advice. She listened intently and did not judge. In her straightforward, methodical fashion, she could help you to analyze a situation and design a good solution, while convincing you it was really your idea. She carried that through to her students in some nice and some not so nice public schools on the south side of Chicago. In times when some students harassed their teachers, my mom could always see the good in people, and as a result, her students literally defended her honor. One day, the principal called her into the hallway for a quick chat. As always, she asked her students to be quiet when she stepped out. So when a couple kids started horsing around, one of the other students jumped in, grabbed the 2 troublemakers by the back of their shirts and exclaimed, "Didn't you hear what Mrs. Chanenson said?" and clunked their heads together and popped them back down into their respective seats. My mom caught a glimpse of that just at the conclusion, turned around and stayed outside for a minute. As a teacher,
She valued education and strove to be a lifelong learner. She was politically astute, firm in her convictions, but willing to hear all perspectives. Given the choice, I'm sure she would have preferred to stick around until November just to cast her vote. It was a right and a privilege she cherished. Sorry. She found her circle of friends in some of the most unlikely places. Her neighbors, my neighbors, a chef from a nursing home where my grandmother lived, a nurse from that same nursing home who years later cared for my dad when he was in the hospital and then cared for her when she was in the hospital. She had friends from grade school, some from college, friends from her volunteer job at the synagogue library. Obviously, that was a special friend because Steve mentioned her also. Even some who were parents of my friends and the children of her friends. She became the unofficial adopted mom of some of my friends, even the grandparent to their children, filling a treasured void in some of their lives. She celebrated birthdays with her dear friends, known as the birthday girls, several times a year. One of her birthday girl friends told me last night that when she was in college, Mom knew absolutely everyone by name, from the elevator operator to the front desk clerk, and was always genuinely concerned about their welfare. What's particularly interesting about this observation is that my nephews believe that I have some of those same traits, and I know that my brother Steve has inherited them as well. My cousin Mel, who visited in December, sent me this last night, and I'm quoting, "Her energy and interest in others shone through at that visit and were some of her most endearing charms. She certainly loved to talk about the manifold accomplishments of her own children and grandchildren, and always asked about our children, and more recently our grandchildren. In the truest sense of the words, she was able to shep nachas, or as my mother would say, kleib nachas, from the life and accomplishments of those around her. Her laugh and her sense of humor will be with me forever." Her creativity was clear in everything she did. She took even the most mundane tasks and made you feel like you were having the time of your life. Attitude was everything. Alyssa exclaimed, "Grandma, I had the best time today." At anyone else's house, she might have been resentful of having to complete the necessary chores. Her creativity was clear in everything she did. My mom created the most amazing birthday parties. Way before it was trendy, my mom came up with incredible themed age-appropriate birthday parties, and no one was ever excluded. Some of you joining us on Zoom today may even have been at these parties. From the personalized cars made out of cardboard boxes that became our individualized dining tables, to a mystery movie that she wrote, costumed, directed, and produced. Just a few weeks ago, an old friend reminded me how much she loved being part of those parties. Every year we had a sukkah building party. Easily 150 people came to help build the structure, string popcorn, collect leaves, string cranberries, and decorate with gourds and apples and kid-made pictures. She knew just how to create beloved traditions. Mom was truly a kid at heart, perhaps best demonstrated by her favorite foods: hot dogs, chicken McNuggets, and French fries. She loved kids and she loved pets. She was always thrilled to see our dog Sasha and babysit her if we were going to be away for a long day in the city. When she lived at Gidwitz, her favorite activity, basically her only activity, was spending time with the 4-year-olds from Mariah Preschool. She and a sweet boy found each other. The rock he painted for her was a treasured possession that always made her smile. Anything that any of her children or grandchildren made for her was more precious than gold. Starting with my so-called masterpieces, she proudly displayed framed drawings and collages that I made, and continued to do that with the treasured homemade gifts from all of her grandchildren. She was especially fond of a drawing that Alyssa made, where It showed everyone was tall, but Alyssa was not. More than anything, she loved family and encouraged us to spend as much time as we could with both immediate and extended family. When Harold and I got married, she loved him like a son, not a son-in-law, and he loved her right back. Especially after my dad passed away, when she didn't want to and said she didn't want to impose and join us for dinner or a show, Harold always had some magical way to get her to agree. Nothing made her happier than spending time with her grandchildren, and she had special endearing nicknames for each. There's Matthew the Magnificent, Alyssa the Adorable, Jake the Great, Ben the Bold, and Super Sam the Superman. In fact, last week she just told Matt that her inspiration for that was the short-lived Tom Terrific segment from Captain Kangaroo. I never even knew that. The grandkids loved and were so proud of their special names and their grandmother's ability to make each of them feel so special. Even though the grandchildren's ages now range from 16 to 30, she continued to reference those special names. It inspired Alyssa to come up with some special endearing names for my mom. Grandmama, or my personal Grams, or my personal favorite, Graham Cracker. Her creativity also included amazing caricatures, especially of her grandkids, that she simply called doodles. She celebrated birthdays with her peers, and her cards always included some doodles and a special personalized poem. When she wanted to stop writing them because even the physical act of writing became a challenge for her, her friends' protests forced her to continue that tradition. She instilled a love of the arts and encouraged us to pursue our dreams. She and my dad attended every possible performance or team sport game they could, and trust me, we gave them plenty of opportunity. They supported us, our kids, and our kids' friends. My Bee Gees singer friends fondly remember her presence at all of our concerts. The emails I have received today from friends remember her ever-present smile, her laughter, and her devotion to supporting my brother and me and our kids. She was honest, ethical, creative, and truly knew what was most important in life. She knew just how to let you know she was proud of your actions and accomplishments, so that even as a grown adult, it made you feel her warmth and love in your heart. She would tell you that you were good at something, and even if you did not agree, she convinced you. She had a very special gift. She knew exactly how to instill confidence and pride in you. In her very thoughtful, gentle way, I always marveled at her ability to do that. Then, almost without realizing what had just happened, you are profoundly aware of how much you appreciate that support, surprised by how much it means to you, even as an adult, and hope that you have learned how to transfer that to your own children. Here's what I hope I have inherited from her. Be a good listener. Think positive. Make lemonade when you're stuck with lemons. Follow the golden rule. Treat others with the respect you wish to have returned. Laugh as often and as hard as you can. Love, family, and laughter. She loved us deeply, and we loved her. I was lucky to have her as my mom, and will strive to follow her lead. One final thought. While the pandemic has wreaked havoc on our lives, I am grateful to have had the opportunity to share these memories of my mom with you. From coast to coast, from Canada to Israel. There are so many people my mom loved so much who can be here virtually, thanks to these unfortunate circumstances. But she would be so pleased to see that this has brought us close together. Your calls and notes are so incredible and so greatly appreciated. Please keep them coming. We are overwhelmed by your love.
So many beautiful memories of Claire. And there are a few more that the family shared with me that I would like to take this opportunity to share with all of you about Claire. She was a wonderful daughter to Jacob and Lena, and a loving sister to the late Annette, and sister-in-law to the late Norman. She was very close with her parents. You shared that there were many years where you lived with them, they lived with you. And, you know, it was a very healthy situation. You had your independence from each other and the respect to feel like you were really living in two separate homes, but it was one, and there was so much love. She was blessed with almost 60 years, just shy of 1 month, of being married to the late Seymour. And how lucky they were to have two terrific kids, and their chosen one, Cindy with Harold and Steve with Ellie. She adored her grandchildren, Matt and Alyssa, Jake, Ben, and Sam. There were many adjectives that you shared and Steve shared, and a few more, some worth repeating and some just to add to the list of who Claire was, in no particular order. Loving, warm, feisty, stubborn, welcoming, strong-willed, positive, respectful, fun, and caring. You repeated over and over in our meeting that she always put others before herself. You had a funny story that you shared when I asked, well, what did she teach? Well, she taught 4th grade and 5th grade, but there was one year she taught 3rd grade, and it was the time that you, Cindy, were in 3rd grade. And her comment about the 3rd graders were, and I quote, "They're all vegetables." Well, oh, but not you, Cindy. You recalled with fondness the road trips that were taken. And where did you go? Well, the way it worked with, your parents is everyone would get in the car and they would just start to drive. And the kids would ask, where are we going? I don't know, we'll just drive and we'll see. So it was always an adventure. And, her late husband, Seymour, would do most of the driving. And she would then offer to drive. The only times she really did not like to drive happened to coincidentally be when they were either driving on a mountain, or there happened to have been a storm, or there was construction. And she didn't like any of those times, but she didn't complain. She still would take over driving as Seymour would be too tired to drive safely. She loved to read. She enjoyed mysteries, those of the author Janet Ivanovich and Mary Higgins Clark. She also enjoyed reading the New York Times and Reader's Digest. You recalled, Cindy, how you would go to the library and fill up shopping bags and bring those bags to your mother, and she would just love reading through them. She had a book with her wherever she went. And apparently this worked out very well for her, because there were times where her husband would say, oh, let's stop here. I want to go in here and check out whatever. And he could be gone for an hour or 2 hours. And she would be just fine because she always had a book, or more than one book, with her. When, Steve, you recalled when she would take you to the violin lessons, you'd be in the lesson and she'd be fine. She would just read her book while she was waiting for you to be done with your lesson. You're going to recall with great fondness how much she loved to sing, the songs that she would sing and write, the parodies, the poems. Such joy. I asked about her cooking, Was she a great cook? And your response was, well, she was a creative cook. There was always zucchini squares at every family event, and you have the recipe. You're going to continue making these zucchini squares. You shared about her deviled eggs. Deviled eggs. Well, hers were special because they came out pink. How are they pink? She would soak them in beet juice. So they had that beautiful color to them. You also recalled with fondness the apricot jello with mandarin oranges and her knedlach with cottage cheese. She was the kind of mother who really didn't stop mothering no matter how old you got. She wanted to know that you were home safely. So she would say to you, Cindy, call me when you get home. And not when you're on the driveway, but when you're in the house. I want to know that you're home. And then life gets busy and you're a grown woman and you're busy doing whatever you're doing, and you would sometimes forget to call her. And she would call you and say, were you planning to call me when you got home? And of course you were. But her concern was always about her family's safety and well-being and their happiness. We know that none of us are going to live forever, but we believe that our spirit can live on forever. And the way that that happens is by all of us continuing to talk about the wonderful memories you have of Claire and to document them so that for future generations yet to be born, her memory will go on, l'dor vador, from generation to generation. She loved you all so very much, and she was so proud of all of you. Cherish your memories. Zecher tzadik livracha, the memory of the righteous, is forever a blessing. And let us all say, Amen. Mary Alice Ramish wrote, when I am gone, release me. Let me go. I have so many things to see and do. You mustn't tie yourself to me with tears. Be happy that we had so many years. I gave you my love, and you can only guess how much you gave to me in happiness. But now it's time I traveled on alone. So grieve a while, for grieve you must. Then let your grief be comforted by trust. It's only for a while that we must part. So bless the memories within your heart. I won't be far away, for life goes on. So if you need me, call, and I'll be near. And if you listen with your heart, you'll hear all of my love around you, soft and clear. And then when you must come this way alone, I'll greet you with a smile and say, welcome home. If you are able to rise for the concluding prayer here in the chapel, I invite you to please rise for El Malei Rachamim, which you find in your service folders. El Malei Rachamim, Shochen Bamromim, Hamsei Menucha Tachat Kanfei Hashchina. O God, full of compassion, thou who dwellest on high, grant perfect rest beneath the sheltering wings of thy presence, among the holy and pure, who shine as the brightness of the firmament, unto the soul of Chana bat Yaakov Elina, Claire Chanenson, daughter of Jacob and Lena, who has gone unto eternity. Lord of mercy, bring her under the cover of thy wings, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life. Be God's possession, and may her repose be peace. And let us all say, Amen.
Please be seated. The interment service will continue at West Lawn Cemetery, located at 7801 West Montrose in Norridge. For those of you who will be driving in the funeral procession, the procession will be forming in our parking lot. Please obtain an orange safety funeral sticker to place on the right-hand side of your windshield. Have your bright lights and hazard lights on at all times. For additional measures of safety, we will be providing a car in the back of the funeral procession to hopefully keep other cars from entering the procession. And for your own personal safety, I strongly recommend using a horn liberally as you're going through the intersections. And please do not speak or text on your cellular phone while driving to the cemetery. The Shiva will be at the residence of Cindy and Harold Robin. That information is on our service folder. For those of you who are live streaming, that information is on our website. Memorial contributions in her memory to the Anti-Defamation League or the Dr. Sue Library, that information you can also find on the service folder, also on our website. At this time, I invite everyone to please rise and stand in place as we escort the casket of Mrs. Claire Chanenson from the chapel. Then you may return to your cars. And for those of you who are watching live stream, the family appreciates your presence, and we'll be going to the cemetery, and everything will be on our website for a recorded version of the service. This concludes the service. So at this time, we're going to bring the casket of Mrs. Chanenson to her grave, and the rabbi will continue with the service. Steve, you're there? We have Steve? Okay. We're just going to ask people just not to cover the camera here. And then, Steve, what we'll do is we'll be your shaliach. We'll place some earth on your behalf. We'll ask one of your niece or nephew to do it on your behalf, and we'll just place earth in for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
To this sacred place we come, drawn by the eternal ties that bind your souls to the soul of your beloved Claire. The dust returns to the earth as it was. The spirit returns to God who gave it. It is only the house of the spirit which we now lay within the earth. The spirit itself cannot die. We pray to you, O God, to receive in mercy the soul of our departed Claire Chanenson. As Claire's casket is being lowered into the grave, I share with you this beautiful poem written by David Harkins. You can shed tears that she is gone, or you can smile because she lived. You can close your eyes and pray that she will come back, or you can open your eyes and see all that she has left. Your heart can be empty because you can't see her, or you can be full of the love that you shared. You can turn your back on tomorrow and live yesterday, or you can be happy for tomorrow because of yesterday. You can remember her and only that she is gone, or you can cherish her memory and let it live on. You can cry and close your mind, be empty and turn your back. Or you could do what she would want. Smile, open your eyes, love, and go on. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we say together, we will remember Claire. We will remember Claire. In the going of the wind and in the chill of winter, we will remember Claire. In the open of buds and in the rebirth of spring, we'll remember her. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of summer, we will remember Claire. In the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we'll remember her. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we will remember Claire. When we are weary and in need of strength, we'll remember her. When we are lost and sick at heart, we will remember her. And when we have joys we yearn to share, we will remember Claire. So long as we live, Claire Chanenson shall live, for she is now a part of us as we remember her. Do they have Kaddish prayers? Okay. We are about to conclude with the final prayer, which is Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish. It is said that the angels brought this prayer down from heaven. It possesses wonderful power. Truly, if there is any bond strong enough to link heaven to earth, it is this prayer. It keeps the living together and forms a bridge to the loved ones who have died. One might say that the Kaddish is the guardian of the people by whom it is uttered. The Kaddish prayer contains no reference to death. Rather, it affirms God's glory and omnipotence. You find these words to Kaddish Yatom in your service folders. I have an extra copy here for anyone who needs it. So let us join together in reciting these traditional words of the mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala u'bizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam ulomei almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudesha b'richu leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata benechamata, da'amiran be'alma, v'imru, amen. Yehi shalama rabba, min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. May the author of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort all the bereaved among us. And let us all say, Amen.
So in just a moment, we'll have the cover of the vault placed, and for those of you who are here, we'll place some earth into the grave. And then Stephen, as I say, will do it also on your behalf. And this will conclude the service. Folks, it's a little warm out here, and we can't hand you the water. However, there's water over here, and you can crack it yourself. It's not a sign of disrespect, just it's more for safety and health.
So it's considered the greatest mitzvah, good deed of all, to participate in the burial process. During the pandemic, we're not shoveling. We are given plastic cups here that David is kindly filling up for each of you. You can then fill it up 2 more times, so instead of 3 shovels, we're doing 3 cupfuls of the earth placed into the grave. And we have Cindy and Carol first.
Okay. Uncle Steve, that was for you.
Thank you.
Anyone else would like to participate? Now would be a good time.
Ladies and gentlemen, after Cindy places the earth from Israel into the grave, what we're going to do is, Steve, we have to turn off the camera to keep the privacy of the cemetery workers and at their request. So we're going to turn that off momentarily, okay? And then anyone who's here can stay here until the grave's covered.
He's waving at everybody.
Wave back.